Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Dental Dummies. Today, we are going to be looking at compound interest. What is compound interest? How do you take advantage of this situation? Stay tuned. Let's find out. Welcome very much to another episode of Dental Dummies. Dr. Min here. Today, we're going to look at compound interest, different tax advantage accounts in a very, very elementary way. So if you know nothing about finances, this episode is definitely very much for you. You're not the dentist, orthodontist, specialist, doesn't matter. You don't know anything about this stuff. I'm going to walk you through it in real time. Not to worry, guys. The more you are around this stuff and you read up on this, watch more YouTube videos, you will start to learn this very, very passively. But before we jump into our topic for the day, be sure to smash that like button. It is the fastest way to push our content out to people just like you. Share the content with your friends, your co-residents, classmates. I'm going to explain to you where it ties in a little bit of what happened with the last episode of student loans, where if you have your interest rate of student loans is at like 6.5%, but if you know you can actually make more money in the stock market or any other piece of asset, such as making a 10% return in the stock market, you actually make up a difference of 3.5%. How compound interest works, essentially, it is just a pool of money that you store it somewhere. It will grow interest over time. The best part is that interest will actually grow interest in of itself. So that's where it goes compounding effect. It starts extremely small. It doesn't look like it's doing much. But if you just keep feeding the machine over and over again, every single month, dollar cost averaging or one large sum, and just watch it grow, let it sit there. If it's money that you just don't need right away, like don't empty out your savings account, have enough to live, and any excess money, such as, hey, you made your student loan payment and you're going to invest the difference. Watch that time go by. It will grow dramatically. It takes time for it to do that, though. You're talking about a 10, 20, 30-year horizon. If you sock away enough money, by the time you hit your 20 to 30-year mark, you could easily be making a passive six-figure income a year. 6 figures, really easily. But you have to start now. It's extremely difficult if you are doing this much, much later. So we're going to jump right into it right now. Let's take a look here. Stock market. So we're going to start with basically like some very, very basic tax advantage accounts. Ones that I think all first-year professionals, not just dentists and orthodontists, should know. Trying to maximize in your first year of work. Live a little bit poor. Remember that whole spiel I said, like live just a little bit poor, just at least that first year. Don't go too crazy with like buying like an expensive car, like a house or anything. Just hold off just a little bit. Get some money saved on you, and this is one aspect of doing it. So here's a couple of tax advantage accounts that I'm going to walk you guys through. 401k, hands down, like probably the most popular IRS tax code. It is usually supplied by your employer. 401k is great. There's two really main ways. I'm just going to cover the pre-tax way. I'm not going to cover the post-tax. Pre-tax just tends to be the most popular. What does this like essentially mean? If you make $100,000 a year, and I don't know what the tax bracket is, but if you're taxed at the 25% tax bracket, well, you're going to be taxed a little bit higher. Or the government actually incentivizes you to sock away a little bit of money. So in this case, if you maximize it, this is pre-current laws, I think are at like 20,500 or even 21,500 or 22,000. But whatever the number is, let's say if it's around $20,000, instead of being taxed in the $100,000 tax bracket wherever you fall, you'll be taxed at closer to the $80,000 tax bracket. So that just means more money in your pocket for the year. Do whatever you want with that money. And like this money in this quote unquote 401k account doesn't actually, it's not like belongs to the government. It's yours. It's completely held in private banks, brokerages, whether it's Vanguard, Charles Schwab, Fidelity, doesn't really matter. But this money is yours. It's constantly, you can manipulate it more or less any way you want. Depends on who your broker is and how your employer is set up. But anyways, these are the most common ones right here. So we have 401k around $20,000, which is pre-tax. Roth IRA, my personal favorite. I think this has gone up actually close to like 65, maybe $7,000. I'm not sure what the latest code is this past summer that passed. It's been a while since I've done this part, but it was $6,000 historically post taxes. So this means you have a little bit more direct control because you will get a paycheck, let's say $10,000 for the month. and you will put away to maximize $6,000 a year. Let's say you get paid $10,000 a month. You get taxed, then you have around $7,000 actually deposited in your bank account. From that $7,000, you can actually directly move $500 a month into this Roth IRA account. That will add up to a total of $6,000 for the year. So you made your money with just $10,000, you pay taxes, and then you contribute money to your Roth IRA. What are the advantages of this one? Well, you already pay taxes on this money. This is a Roth IRA, or what we call Roth, basically in layman's terms, things like post taxes. When you withdraw it, I believe you're eligible after 59 and a half. If you could hold out, like the more you can hold out, the more money you actually make. But let's say you're at 65. When you decide to access this money, it doesn't matter how much money is actually in this account, whether it's $1 million, $2 million, or $10 million, it will be completely tax-free because you contributed post-tax dollars into this account. It's extremely, extremely powerful. This is excellent for those that are early in their careers, not making a lot of money per se. So if you are in a lower tax bracket early in your career, sock your money away when you're in a low tax bracket versus later on. Let's say if you start taking out like big chunks of money, you'll be in a higher tax bracket. So if you're low income, sock it away now. Let this thing grow. Even if you start to make more money and you're able to do like a backdoor Roth, take advantage of this. Like build up post-tax as much as possible. HSA. This has grown. I think we're at like 3,800, 3,850 and some change right now for your HSA contributions. So the people think of like HSA and FSA. They're actually two very different things. Similar in a sense where it's tax-free. FSA is essentially money that does not roll over. So if you put in $5,000 in the year for FSA, it doesn't carry from December to January. And typically you can't invest that money because you can't carry it over. And HSA is wonderful for those of us that have a high deductible health insurance. Average deductible for any health insurance plan that has an HSA eligibility, let's say $5,000 to $7,000 deductible, just means that if something catastrophic ever happened, you have to actually pay the $7,000 towards your deductible, and then insurance will cover everything else at 100%. So an HSA plan, what people don't know is, yes, you can contribute money to this and withdraw the money out for the year and get reimbursed for doctor's visits. I would personally treat this as more of an extension of your 401k. There is a limit to each of these accounts where HSA can be an extension of the 401k. In this case, $19,500. You could put another $3,600 into your HSA. So you're actually putting away money up to nearly $22,000, $23,000. When you get older, you can withdraw this money anytime for health expenditures, tax-free. So if you have $10,000 saved up, you can actually withdraw this money out tax-free. So it's tax-free going in, tax-free going out. If you don't use this for any health expenses, so the question is what happens when you're 65? At 65 years old, you can actually withdraw this money and you just pay regular income tax on this, no different than when it was like a 401k. Same thing, guys. Like I said, it's an extension of the 401k. Let's do a little calculations comparing two individuals, right? So how does the math work? So if you make a salary of $250,000, subtract the $19,500, you max it out for the year, you're down to $230,000. Deduct another $3,600 towards HSA. So right now, you could have been taxed at $250,000, but you'll be taxed at $226,000. So you've just lowered your tax bracket just a little bit. You then pay taxes, and that's like what you're left over. And I think I use this tax calculator on like a very, very primitive one that I just found online. Like I'm not a CPA or anything. But let's say you pay taxes and this is what you have left over. This is all post-taxes right now, $177,000. Since it's post-tax dollars, then you can contribute $6,000 towards your Roth IRA. You're down to $171,000. $900 for the year. Let's compare this situation to someone who doesn't invest at all. No investing, no nothing, their first year of work. $250,000, they don't contribute anything to their 401k. They don't contribute anything to their HSA. So they're going to get taxed at $250,000. But let's say you pay taxes. You're going to pay higher taxes because you're being taxed at $250, not $226. Taxable savings of individual A is $9,000. That's just how much they saved on taxes that they paid that year. So person on the left save $9,000 in taxes for the year. What does the person A have as an advantage? This person now actually has up to $29,100 that can be used for investing. This is where the compound interest comes in. Take a couple individuals. I think for this one, let's just do 401. So $19,500 that's contributed annually. And I assumed like in this scenario, everyone was like 30 years old and you're all going to retire at the same time at 65. So 35 years of work, 35 years of potential compound interest with a very conservative return of like 7% annually. Here we go. If you keep this up from age 30 and you sock away $19,000, $500, all this right here, you will have a total balance of $3 million pre-tax in your 401k account. That's enough to retire on. Depends on your lifestyle. But this is excellent. In green right here is the actual, no, in blue right here, it's linear, is your annual contributions just going up linearly by nearly $20,000 straight. All this in green is actually the compound interest that grew. Notice the blue is much larger than the green early on. But as time goes on, each and every single year, the interest that actually grows significantly outdoes the principal. So your principal investment here costs you $700,000. You'll have $3 million in the bank. That's 3-4 times X. So the math runs, I believe it's on average in the historical stock market is every 7 years you double your money essentially. Roth IRA, my personal favorite, $6,000 annually, grows for 35 years, just $6,000 annually or $500 a month to maximize this thing. It grows very linearly, and on the back end, nearly $1 million in the bank, tax free. That's amazing. You could do whatever you want. You could take this money, put it in a pool, swim in it. No one cares. Do whatever you want to do with this thing. Completely tax-free. This is great. Principal, $216,000. This is the best account, in my opinion, if you start any sort of job. From when you are 15 years old, open up a Roth IRA, put in $10, $20, $50. It doesn't matter. Build up those habits of investing early. Sock money away when you're basically paying no taxes. You're in the lowest tax bracket. You get it all back. You're under the poverty line, making under $12,000 a year. Sock your money away, guys. HSA maximize at $3,600 a year, 35 years, 7% return. Again, principal balance, $129,000. You keep this up from when you're 30 years old to 35 years old. You can do whatever you want with this, more or less. You can withdraw nearly $500,000 tax-free for health expenses, or you can take some of this towards your health expenses and reimbursements and take the other rest out and treat it as taxable income. It's an extension of your 401k. Of all of these numbers here, you have your annual contribution, you have the time in the market, and you have the performance of the stock market. What do you guys think is the most powerful what do you think is the most powerful variable between the three? Contributions, the time, or the performance in the stock market? Time. Time is like the one asset that you just can't buy or buy back. You can't get that time. When that time goes by, the years tick off. You're going to see right here, as an example, an individual at age 30 socking this money away. This is how much you have. At age 40, so let's say you're like, hey, Dr. Min, I don't want to invest my money. I'm just going to fart around for like 10 years. You decide to not put anything away, not even a little bit. Okay. You then at age 40, you call me and you're like, hey, I should start saving up some money. Okay. This is how much you have. If you maximize all your stuff at age 40, you have $1.4 million in your 401k. $438,000 in your Roth, $260,000 in your HSA. I mean, I guess for the average American, it's not bad, but you completely lost out on tons of money over here. Age 50. Let's say at age 50, you decide to sock money away. And you call me and you're like, hey, I want to retire in 10, 15 years. And then you realize you have nothing in the bank. And now you're kind of in trouble. Because most likely at age 50, if you haven't saved anything, you definitely have been spending your money in a very extravagant lifestyle, or you maybe not extravagant, but it's gone now. And then you decide to save money. 401k, $500,000, Roth IRA, 177, HSA, $100,000. Look at the vast differences in this. Look at the amount of interest that is actually there when you start at age 30. Look at the amount of interest, which is in green, such a huge difference in someone that started at 50 years old. We are completely different trajectories here. Person at age 50 starting this, you're not retiring. I guarantee you, you're not living off of like $20,000 a year. This is what we call the lost opportunity math here. Doctor at age 30, you start early enough, you'll have $4.5 million in the bank. Lost opportunity, zero. You maximize as much as you could. You started working, you had paychecks, and then you're socking this money away. Doctor at age 40, $2.1 million. Since you decided to not invest in the early parts of your career, you really literally lost out on the opportunity. The time has gone by. That's if you are retiring at the same time as Dr. 30. You lost out on the opportunity to make $2.4 million. Can't get that back. You have to work longer than Dr. 30. Dr. 50, you guys might get a little bit sadder over here. $800,000 in your portfolio, potential lost opportunity versus Dr. 30, $3.6 million. Let's take a look at this in real time, guys. Look at it a little closely. Let's take the 401k initial deposit. We'll even start with zero. Contribution amount, $20,000 a year. $20,000 a year. It's like what? $1,500 a month or something like that. $20,000. This is done annually. Let's say we start at age 30. So we retire at age 65. That gives me 35 years of compound interest. And then we'll be a little generous. The historical rate of return on the stock market is closer to like 9-10%, maybe even higher. And this compounded annually. There you guys go. Right there. If you're able to maximize your 401k, beginning of your career, and you're able to do this for 35 years, it's like you're going to work at least until you're Social Security eligible at age 65. Look at this. Yeah, sure, it starts out small. Your principal is just huge. You've barely made any interest in the early parts of your years. Look at this, though. As time goes on, suddenly that interest number keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. Right here, now it's starting to really pay for itself, just socking this money away. We're at $1 million balance. Now, the last like 5-10 years is when it's going to get really, really good. So let's look at this one. Total balance. We can just look at the interest alone, right? So we're at $2.1 million of interest in the year 2050. 2.1. Bam. It just jumped up 6 figures to 2.3, nearly 2.4. Go another year. Almost 2.7 million. That's another 6 figures. Another 6 figures. Another 6 figures. Another 6 figures. Are you really worried about your student loans at this point? Like, even if it's $500,000, try to do something. Look at this. Like, you're making a passive 6-figure income. It's just growing all right here for you. This is huge, huge, huge. This is where you really make your money. Now, what happens if we waited 10 years? So remember, we're at $5.4 million right now, and we delay this by 10 years. Let's see what happens. Bam. So we deposit $20,000 annually, 25 years. Same compound interest, compounded annually. Look at this number. $2 million. It's less than half of what it was. Half, guys. Half. Look at this. Yeah, in the year 2040, $600,000 in interest. six figures finally, with only 100,000, but your total balance was 1.4, 1.5. Your growth amount is just not very much at this point. Wow. Now let's say if you only have 10 years, yeah, you're not retiring. I don't care how much money you have. No way. You're not retiring at all. This is just too little. No way. It's not going to go very far. You guys, I completely forgot. You have inflation. The historical rate of inflation is 3%. So the cost of a gallon of milk is higher. So what's the point in being a millionaire if the cost of a car is like for a basic sedan is like $80,000? So your buying power actually diminishes. I completely forgot about that in my presentation. Oh my God, guys. So like cash is king, but cash is kind of worthless in like the long term of things. It seems like your buying power with whatever money's in your bank, it just doesn't go very far. The cost of things just will always go up. That's just the way it is, as long as we are in what we call a fiat currency, and the money printing machine is just constantly going. You just know it's going to happen, and that's across the world. Now let's say if you start early in your career, you could only do $10,000. It's not very much. Start early though. Let's say if you're 26 years old, it's not unusual to be 26 years old and be done with dental school. So you have, instead of 35 years of compound interest, you would have, let's say you graduate 25. We'll be a little generous. You have another 10 years, so you have 45 years of compound interest. So let's start with $0 here, $10,000 annual contribution, and we do 45 years of compound interest, 10% rate of return annually here. Bam! Look at this. For $10,000 a year, half the amount of someone's annual contributions of a 401k will go heck of a lot farther. You made an additional $2 million retiring at the same time that you originally planned. Right here. Yeah, it starts small. Look at this. This thing just goes up to the moon right now. $5 million, you would have hit that in year 2065. Bam. Let's make the difference. So it's in the year 2065. Interest is at nearly 5.5 million. Wow. That it jumped up from 5.5 to a little over 600,000. So you made $500,000 in passive income of just the growth right there. Let's make one more jump. Let's see what happens. So 686,000 to nearly $6.7 million. So over $600,000 in the last year before retirement right there. Okay. That's amazing. That's huge. Like, just start early. Anything that you can, like, work your butt off to get there. And this is contributing $10,000. This person's retiring more comfortably than the person that started later. Like, time is the most powerful thing. Like, this just goes to show you guys, just because you have student loans, it's not like the end of the world. There are so many other lost opportunities. We haven't even gotten into opening up your own practice and having a larger stream of income where you could go from doing, let's say, $100,000 to $300,000 a year of income to like $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, maybe $1 million if you're a multiple practice and multiple associates. Everybody's goals are a little bit different. Not everybody wants that. That's okay. But it's up to you to define what your goals are. But thank you again very much, everybody, for tuning in. I'd like to thank our sponsor, CFS Dental Division. If you have any questions and want to learn more, feel free to contact me. If you're interested on how to be a client of CFS Dental Division, shoot us an email at info@cfsdentaldivision.com. Again, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe, and help us out. Look forward to seeing you guys soon.